1977, a load of Portsmouth bands were starting to form, bands like the Precautions, bands like the Media. But in probably summer 1977, with all the outrage about the Pistols and God Save the Queen and all that, a band called the Church Daubers organised an anti-Nazi League rally in the middle of Portsmouth. And they played on the back of a float which went down Fratton Road, down Arundel Street, round Commercial Road, and ended up back at what was the Crystal Rooms. And they played on the back of this lorry. And I was walking along behind them, and next thing I know, I'm up on the lorry with them. And they were doing a cover version of a Pistol song, so I sung some backing vocals with it. And, you know, and then some more people jumped up, and then just seemed to be loads of us on the van and the band playing away. So that was my first experience of being up there with musicians. Before that, musicians were up there and you watched them. After that, it was like no holds barred. That was the summer 77. I formed my first band in November 1977. We were called the Pylons, named after one of our teachers at school. And it was a bunch of four of us. And we played the school assembly in 1977, and we did 4 songs. And we got the plug pulled on us, I'm proud to say. We were rubbish, but that didn't matter. We did it, and that was all that counted then. It was just doing it. And that stays true today, to be honest. It's not about how it is, it's just about getting up there and participating and doing it. Worry about it afterwards, just get involved and do it. So, earliest memories of the Portsmouth music scene. I don't remember a lot of local bands, because obviously they were all playing pubs and clubs, and it was difficult to get into some of them. If they played the Mecca, that was no problem. You could get into the Mecca at any age. I had a membership thing for that when I was 14, so that was easy. But most of the bands weren't playing places like that, so I never really saw any local bands until the punk scene came along. And then loads of little pubs started opening up their back rooms for people to put on gigs. There was one in Fratton called the Railway Hotel. It's now been converted into flats like they all have. You'd go down there on a Friday or Saturday night and there'd be the Precautions, there'd be the Media. Ken Brown would be down there selling his Safety in Numbers fanzine. The Rotary Club down Old Portsmouth, another place that used to bring, as well as local bands, they used to bring in bands from outside as well. The Vapors did a tour, you know, they had a hit with Turning Japanese. And they finished their tour with the Jam, and 2 months later, a guy called Roland Woods got them down to play the Rotary Club and put on local bands supporting them. So it was there was the Irish Club down Elm Grove, which is still a venue, which is brilliant to see. Where else did we go? The Gasworks Social Club, because a couple of members of the Precautions worked up there, so they would put on gigs up there. There was a church hall up in Farlington, where you pay 30p to get in, and there'd be 4 bands playing. So that was how that was the local music scene back in 1977, 78. That was all going on. And then the band started moving into slightly more traditional venues as, you know, music went a little bit overground and more people wanted to see it. Then you start moving into the more accepted venues. Portsmouth Poly, for example. I mean, back in those days you had to be a student to see the bands play at the Poly. So if you weren't a student, you had to go down there and try and persuade a student to sign you in as a guest. And that never used to work because they didn't want to let us in. And so a few of us used to go down there early, meet the bands as they turned up, tell the bands we couldn't get in, and they would then say, grab the drums, grab a guitar, you're our roadies for the night. Saw so many bands that way. Saw Generation X, Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, the Members, Ultravox. It was just a great way of doing it. Penetration. They all played down there, and that was the only way to get in and see them.